Hello all, Old Man on the Ridge here. I'm going to take you through my DIY approach on how I powered my off-grid cabin. This power station evolved over a period of several years from simple lead-acid batteries and inverter to run a DVD player, TV, and lights to what is now a lithium-ion system that will power an air conditioning unit along with all the other things, including a microwave. I made my own battery connections using copper water pipe, half-inch, and 12-gauge copper wire. I hammered the copper pipe flat with the 12-gauge wires inside and soldered the ends shut. I then drilled the bars with the appropriate size holes. After drilling the holes, some of the bars needed to be bent in a 90-degree angle, and this was accomplished using a vise and a hammer. Here are my DIY power bars attached to a disconnect switch and a fuse holder. With the batteries in position, I am now mocking up the fuse holder and battery disconnect. Here's a close-up view of the positive terminal on the battery and the battery disconnect. Here's a view from behind. I'm running these two 12-volt batteries in parallel. Same setup on the bottom two batteries. These batteries are also run in parallel. Here's a close-up view of the positive side of the battery bus bar. Here's an overall view of the battery bus bar prior to mounting on the battery cart. I drilled and tapped the bus bar to include 5/16 and 3/8 inch bolts using stainless steel hardware. I found that working on my battery cart on another roll-around cart was much easier than doing it from the floor. Here are a couple of components that I used to pre-charge my inverter. I wired a voltmeter, a switch, and a resistor from the battery directly to the bus bar. That way I can pre-charge my inverter. This is a view of the right-hand side of the cart. This is a view of the front of the cart. Another view of the battery disconnects and fuse holders installed on the cart. This is a view of the back side of the cart. This is a view of the left side of the cart. Here I've installed a 500 amp shunt in order to monitor battery usage. I also fashioned a protective cover over the bus bars using 1/4-inch plexiglass and a heat gun. To make things easy, I mounted the battery shunt controller on the back side of the cart near the shunt. I upgraded from a 2,000 watt inverter to a 3,000 watt inverter due to the fact that I'm going to be running air conditioning in my cabin this summer. I also upgraded the batteries from two 100 amp hour batteries in parallel to this 280 amp hour battery. The next few frames shows the cart in the cabin in the normal setup as it is actually being used. I installed two of these 280 amp hour batteries, one on the top shelf, one on the bottom shelf. I run all my batteries in two banks. I run one bank at a time and keep one in reserve. That way when one bank is depleted, I can switch over and disconnect or recharge the other bank. I can remove the larger battery and replace it with two of the 100 amp hour batteries and just recalibrate the shunt to show the proper reading. This is my solar charge controllers. I have two 30 amp charge controllers going to the bus bar. And of course you have to have a backup power system. Here's my 2,000 watt propane inverter. My 800 watts of solar in two banks of 400 watts, 400 going to one controller, 400 going to another controller. Like they always say about backups, 1 is none and 2 is 1. That's why I have both propane generator and solar panels. This is a quick way to get lights on in the cabin using a 20 volt to wall battery, a power wheel power adapter, and a low voltage cutoff switch. Just pop the battery in and turn on the light switch and you have lights. I have 3 of these units set up around the cabin so that I can have instant lights as soon as I get there. I have one by the kitchen here, one by my bunk bed, and one outside on the porch. Here's the one on the porch. Just pop the battery in and turn on the switch on the top of the power adapter and the lights are on. It's the 18-inch LED light bar. It's powered by 12 to 34 volts. I hope you enjoyed this tour of my DIY power solution for my off-grid cabin. Thanks for watching.